Welcome everybody. This is the 1st November here, and we will do a complete breakdown on GPJPY. Going to do a complete breakdown on your JPY, and going to do a complete breakdown on gold. But before we continue, I want you to take a look at this. Monday, we have ISM manufacturing. High volatile news moves the dollar, moves gold. We have AD interest rates. We have the elections on Tuesday. We have unemployment for New Zealand. We have ADP employment change. This is not as big. It kind of like moves stuff, but not a lot. But we'll see what happens after the elections. And then we have the pound interest rates. After pound interest rates, we have the USD interest rates, right? So these USD interest rates, it's going to depend on whoever becomes president, right? If the votes are counted by then, because, we also got mail-in ballots. So who knows how long that's going to take. And then on Friday, we have NFP, man. This week is filled with fireworks. Like, holy shit. Like, if my analysis doesn't play out, I'm not even going to be mad. I'm just going to be like, hey, like, you know what? It is what it is. Because this week, man, like, you can expect anything to happen this week. So let's take a look at this right here, right? So this is start of the new month. So if you go down to the monthly time frame, if you look at the monthly candle, this monthly candle is interesting because it's closing above 135. It's at 135,500, right? And if you look to the left hand side, we had April closing below that area. We had May closing below, June closing below, July closed above. Then we had September closing above, and then we have October closing above. Now, who knows where this price is going to go? I mean, you have the COVID virus coming in, you have lockdowns coming in, and we're expecting the pound to go down. I mean, if we do cross this level, 135,500, and if we go below 135, there's a very high possibility we're going to continue down in this range. First of all, fill the wick at 134,400, and then continue down towards 133, right? And this is a very, very strong support right over here. And for price to go up, I guess we'll have to reject this area and then continue up to maybe go up here. But like, man, with all this stuff happening fundamentally, especially the holiday season coming up, for the monthly perspective, it's very uncertain. So let's take a look at the weekly here. And looking at the weekly, this weekly candle is basically broke below the low of the previous weekly candle, which we were talking about. And if this would have been on a 30-minute time frame, we would say, hey, like, you know what? This candle rejected support up over here at 137,700. And then we broke below this area. We tapped into a support at 134,400. So maybe the next candle can probably come down, maybe down to the support. And if we break this, we're coming down to retest this low at 133. So let's take a look at the daily time frame here now. So looking at the daily, let's remove all zones from here and let's just focus on the daily time frame here. So looking at the daily, we basically broke below 135,800, right? Let's get at that. We broke below 135,800. We tapped down into a price level, which was also tapped into back on 28 September, right? 134,400, we tapped there and we continued up. So let's take a look at the 4-hour here now. So first off, we have a support level established. No, actually, we have a resistance level established at 135,800, right? On the 4-hour time frame. Now, we're not going to involve all this area because we have this new price action. So this becomes invalid. Also, like, all this area becomes invalid because we have this fresh price action right over here, right? So if we break above 135,800, I think price is going to continue on towards, 136,300. This was a support level on the 4-hour, which we broke. But of course, right? If price starts coming up above 135,800, it's obviously going to have some sort of issues in this zone, in these areas right here, because these are like levels of resistance on the small time frame. So let's take a look on, actually, before we take a look on the 1-hour, let's take a look at the 4-hour here and notice how this candle here wicked all the way down towards 135,200 into 135 even and then continued up. So this was also an area of resistance previously when price came down, and now we're rejecting it. So let's take a look on the 1-hour time frame and let's see what more information we can find based on the session analysis. Now, this is good, right? Normally, I don't like to do high time, of course, high time frame analysis is good, but mostly I'm going to focus on inter-session analysis, because if we have news events, if we have high volatile situations happening, it's better to know what's going to happen on the smaller time frames so you can better adjust that on the higher time frames after that. So let's take a look on the 1-hour right over here. So looking at the 1-hour, we have a support created at 135,420, right? See? Signs. for 135 420, we have a support right over here, and below the support we have another support down at 135, 180. So if we measure this range, this is a 24-25 pip range. So I would say if price gaps below 135 400, there's a very high probability that what happened during the market was close was that price broke below this area and it closed below 135 400, and then there's a high probability for price to continue down towards 135, 200, 135, 180. So that could be a trade within the Asian session. But at the same time, we also have a resistance being formed at 135 650, and I mean the next, let's make the zone a little bit thinner, right? Because I think it's too thick. Let's make it like this on the 1 hour time frame. Make it nice and pretty. Yeah, perfect, right? So above this resistance at 135 650, we have a 14-15 pip range. So essentially now price is in a ranging condition. Let's take a look on the 30-minute time frame. 30-minute time frame also, like, it kind of like reaffirms that, okay, we are at a resistance. We rejected this area. Price came down. Let's measure this range over here. This is like a 22-23 pip range, right? The only good thing about this range is that we have this clean candle here. So even if in the Asian session price does open and we form a support above 135 440, looking at this clean candle here to the left, it would make sense for price to continue up to correct this whole range to the left hand side, right? At the same time, if we stay below 135 400, there's a very high probability we're going to continue down towards 135 180, and obviously if we break the support, then there's a very high probability we're going to correct this move up, which was from the London session. Yeah, from the London session on 30th October, we can correct this move up and come down towards, 134 770. So this is going to be a really, really good play if we do respect 135 650 and we break below 135 420, then we break below 135 170. So I think this is going to be a really good play for price to come down towards 134 800. May happen in the London session where there's more volume, but I'm going to keep an eye on this. But at the same time, if we start breaking above 135 650, and then essentially if we start breaking above 135 800, I think there's a very high probability price can continue up towards 135 950, which is not that far away. It's like 15 pips away, but like there's still these ranges here to the top side. Like these are like stops where price can come up to. So see, there's one block right here, price moves up. There's another resistance, wick over here, rejection here, price moves up. There's another rejection here, price moves up. There's another rejection. So we have to keep these in mind. But for me, it's essentially from what I can see is that selling is going to be much easier because we have bigger ranges for sales. See, this is 41 pips. If we measure to the top side, this is like, 14, 15 pips. If we measure more top side, it's like 20 pips. So 20 pips still good, right? So let's see what happens, how price opens, and let's see how the Asian session marks up. So yeah, so this is the GG analysis right there. So we're gonna wait and see how price opens. And yeah, I decided to make different videos. So I'm gonna start with the Euro JPY here next. Let's